Well, good evening and welcome yet again to another Raw and Real. We're so excited here today. I mean, look who we have here, Liliana Sanelli from Perfect Events. This is going to be amazing. We can't wait to share her. So much happening. I want to start with saying this, I wish everybody, our Life Worldwide community wishes everybody out there the very best with this coronavirus thing. I'm not going to talk about that bloody disease, whatever it is. But just, thank God that we are pushing forward and doing the good things that we're supposed to be doing. Big shout out, of course, to Futsal and Peter Barthamos for yet again letting us use this incredible studio, and his family and his friends and his co-workers there. Unbelievable stuff here. But this Raw and Real's going next level. This stuff is going next level. So as I always say, we will only interview incredible humans. Only interview incredible humans. So people say to me, why Lily? Well, I've known Lily for over 25 years. It's probably even more, actually. So
no, I'm only 25 years old. So
that's right. We've got to be careful what we say.
Yeah.
I've got to think about this carefully. You're the first beautiful lady to be on our show, to hit it off.
Thanks.
And we couldn't think of anyone better. And you are an incredible human being. You've done amazing things in your life. I'm not going to contaminate your story. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. You're going to give us your all. We can't wait to share her. So that's why Lily, because she's an incredible human. She's an inspiration to so many women, to so many people out there for being able to be a mother, a wife, a sister, an auntie, and everything that goes with it. So we're going to pass over to you, Lily. Who's Lily? This is the question everybody's asking. Who is Lily?
Well, really, none of us know who ourselves are, right, Harry? We're always learning and we're always growing.
We hear that.
Lily can be Lily at work, Perfect Events, and Lily can be at home, mum, because I think we all have lots of different personalities, but we're all made up of one.
Yes.
So, Lily, I run a company called Perfect Events. Some of you may have heard about it out there. You may have seen it. I've started it 13 years ago on my kitchen table, as you do, as a good mum on the kitchen table. And since then, I've produced over 900 events. We've raised over $25 million for different not-for-profits around Australia, around the world. And I'm really proud to say that we literally can organise any event that we need. But as you can imagine, in this current environment, no events at the moment.
But Lily, so we're going to go into the perfect event stuff. So you're good. You give us the sales pitch. You're really good at that. But we want to know who Lily is. Lily's got a husband, got little kiddies, and so we want to know who Lily is. I mean, you're an Italian, migrant parents. Who's Lily?
Yeah.
So what happened? Who's Lily?
I'm the youngest of three girls.
Yeah. Oh, so three girls.
Three girls.
Wow.
My dad wanted a boy. He wanted me to be a boy, and unfortunately that didn't happen.
Yes.
So, a good or bad thing, I think. Anyway, so I'm the youngest of three girls. All my life, I had to, being the youngest, and there was a bit of an age difference, I always had to chase and be noticed. And I say that genuinely because as the third and I've got two beautiful girls, but with three girls or three kids, there's the oldest and the middle and the youngest, and it's always coming top and tail.
Yeah.
I had to learn from a young age that my older sisters had their own things to do, and I was the little pest that they loved but they hated when it was for them. So for me, I learned quickly when Dad worked at the trams, and he started as a conductor, and everyone knew John, and then he was an inspector, and then he drove the trams, so real hard-working parents. And Dad was hardly home, so always trying to work for the family. And I learnt quickly that I had to be with my mum all the time. And I also had to be the youngest one entertaining. So I learnt at a young age that if I wanted to do something, I needed to organise it myself, because Dad was busy working. And my mum was busy being the mum and good Italians. And what do? We eat, we cook, we work, we clean. And then we eat, we cook, we clean, and it goes around in circles. And so there was a real good learning for me, as much as it was hard, that I had to defend myself. I had to be my own company. I had to, if I wanted something done, I needed to do it. So I started working at 11 or 12, even though I wasn't supposed to. My cousin had at the Victoria Market. She had a clothes store stand, as lots of good Italians and wogs did at that time. And I started working every Sunday, and I was 13 when she finally gave me a job. I used to get $40 for a day. Loaded, you know, in those times, $40, right? And that was like 2 bags of bullets plus more at the milk bar.
Sensational.
And then started working, and to me it was like a freedom. It gave me that ability to say I was working, earning my money. Mum and Dad could give us things, but everything that we had, from clothes, accessory to books to buying toys, anything, Mum and Dad couldn't buy. So that $40 was kind of a real thing for me. And my cousin giving me that opportunity to work at the Victoria Market and selling her clothes, which were all right, but learning to sell and talk to different people at such a young age.
Yes.
And then from there, literally, I got the bug to work and study. And
So did you finish school? Sorry.
I finished year 12, had a great school life, learned a lot there. Then I thought I wanted to get into law. Really thought I wanted to get into law. I don't know why. Just to the analytical conversation, thought it would be really good. Went to La Trobe Uni, and I did an arts degree majoring in legal, thinking I would get into law. I didn't get enough points, which is fine. But when I finished that degree, I had the opportunity, and I won a scholarship to go study in Italy for 8 months, the Italian language, and it was around my 21st. So it was perfect timing because I wanted to go to Europe and have the big Europe holiday.
Of course.
As you do. Changed my life. Life before Europe, life after Europe. I won't say anything about that. Husband's watching,
Of course.
Europe was amazing, and studying in Italy, I got to love my culture, because for a long time, I think Greeks do it so much better. You really embrace it, whereas Italians, you know, you love your culture, you love your food, but we kind of shy away. It's really interesting. Anyway, so when I won the scholarship, met all these beautiful women, we came back, and that was it for me. I started an Italian youth group called Giovani 2000, Youth 2000. Met some beautiful, the girls that we went on the trip with, we became really good friends. We started an Italian radio program. We were on the radio in the Italian paper, helped organise Italian Light on Street Festival. All of a sudden I found this culture. I think I understood who I was, and I understood what I loved doing. And then I discovered that I'm really good at talking for something different, and meeting people and saying, I want to make a difference. And it was really interesting for me to find out who I was, more my roots, more my culture.
Your grassroots.
And then understanding that you don't have to be shy, and you don't have to have everything. You can still be a humble, working.
That's fantastic.
So then, and then that started how I kind of fell into events, because by organising all these different things in the Italian community, till this day, I still have quite a few friends that I met amazing. From there. You know? So,
Well, you know what? It's interesting because, of course, the question I had was why events, but it's evident here that's why events. So you were very good at putting it all together, whether it's the radio, you know, the Youth 2000 and the festas. I mean, Light on Street Festa was like the place to be. It was like enormous in our younger days, you know. And so, okay, so then, of course, that question, why events, and then you went from these little events to
big
borning
event.
at the dinner table. 13 years, perfect events.
And I think the transition was that when I was doing those events for the Italian community and meeting all these people, and I was still debating, do I want to go back to uni and study legal, right?
Still going. Wow.
I'll share this story with you. Before I went overseas, I was working at AMP. And AMP was the national sponsor of the Olympics. And at that time, they adopted the Leukemia Foundation. So when I came back from overseas, they said, do you want to come back and work for us? I'm like, yeah, I need money, and I think I want to go back to uni. I met this woman, and again, this is the sign of the times, because when we went to finish year 11, year 12, events, PR, marketing really wasn't a profession, not like it is now. And I met Alex, who was the PR lady, beautiful girl, and I said to her, I want to share I want to get some experience. I want to know what else I can do. And at that stage, I got a job as a 3-month contract to work at the family law court. I go, great. I'll see if I like working in the courts, because I had done some experience at the corrections and everything, but I'll still get money working at AMP. Long story short, hated it, helped put my sister's divorce through because I could get it through for it. I met all these people, and all I could do was, my heart was hurting. These poor people. And then I soon understand, I'm shit, man, I can't fucking work in law, excuse the French. Like, I can't work in a court. I'd be wanting to help everyone. But I also understood I'm good with people. So working at AMP, I decided to say, let me just work with you to get some money until I work out what I wanted to do. And then when they adopted the Leukemia Foundation, they said they needed someone to help them grow the foundation in Victoria and Tasmania. And that was when they just started, like 21 years ago. And I said, okay, what do you need help? And this was PR. And then they said they want to start the world's greatest shave for a cure. So I don't know. You don't need to worry. You've shaved your head, you're fine. Oh, is that what happened?
That's what happened. Anyway, that's another story.
I think you did shave it once anyway. So they said we need to grow it, and we want the AMP staff to help because we had no staff. They had no staff, right? So it was great. Corporate partnership. They wanted to have a look at how you did it. And me, because I wanted to escape from working in boring freaking accounts, and I was in the mailroom, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I said, yeah, I'll do it. And what do you need to organise? You need people to shave their hair. I'll do that. And what do you need? What do you know? So from that, I volunteered, worked with Alex, the PR woman, and I met this woman called Kathy Convery, who still to this day is my mentor and friend. And Leukemia Foundation had said, and they brought on one CEO, that's all. He brought his own computer. He brought his own paper from home, and AMP gave him the dungeon. No windows, no nothing. So AMP was helping him, and they said, you use our staff, we'll help you grow, and that's how it started. Anyway, Kathy was brought on to organise like an awareness event, a campaign. And I met this woman, and she told me who she was. She's beautiful. And I said, wait, you're telling me you get paid to organise an event? And she was working for Opera Australia, and she organised high-end events. And she said, yes, darling, that's what I've always done. And I was like, no, I do it all the time for my family, for my friends. You can get paid. What are you talking about? And that's how it started.
She learned push.
Yeah. Wow. Who would know that you could get paid to organise events? And, you know, in those days, I feel like I'm talking like I'm freaking 50, but 20 years ago, it was a completely different landscape. So from that, I started organising events. The Italian community gave me a connection. Gave me someone I could talk to, share my love. So we brought out singers from Italy, Abruzzo. We took them on road shows, did winery tours. Mind you, me, freaking 21, driving them around with the Tarago, going, "Are you all right?" You know, and then we made it that it donated the money to Leukemia Foundation. So I was always smart in doing the events, but connecting it with a cause. Slowly, I kept on busting Damien's chops, who was the CEO, and I said, I just want a job. I really want to get a job in events. And he finally gave in. And he said, look, do you want a job as the world's greatest shave for a cure coordinator? I said, yeah, sure, but I'm not shaving my head, but I'll learn how to do it. And I grew the campaign from $0 to $5 million in the first 5 years.
Wow, yes.
And that's like fundraising completely, going around Victoria and Tasmania, doing lots of shaves.
Oh, that was huge. That was a huge event.
And it's still the largest, till this day, is the largest campaign, and it's had to change. But I guess events wasn't something that I went, oh yeah, I'll just do it. I do it naturally. But if it wasn't for Kathy, and if it wasn't for AMP, and then AMP had sponsored the 2000 Olympics.
Correct.
So all the events and all the activities, I just said, I'll do it. I'll volunteer. Let me learn. So I learned on the job and met different awesome people.
I mean, it's 20 years ago. I seen today on Facebook, a good friend of mine, she was part of, and she was my client actually, she was part of the opening ceremony and all that, and she posted that today saying, can you believe it, 20 years ago, this is what happened. You know, the world was ending, wasn't it? The millennial thing, whatever it was.
Y2K.
The Y2K bug, you know, everything was dying. Everything was dying, right? So that's your big in, and then of course, I mean, that really answers the why events, right? And of course we had a question there, but So then here we go, we've got Perfect Events.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the name? What was so you said, I can do this, I'll do this myself, right? I can go and do this. And is that what happened, or was it an opportunity, or?
Yeah, to be honest, I always knew I wanted to work for myself, but I didn't quite understand clearly what that meant. I was, with lots of lessons, right, Harry, as we always say. I had worked with some people that taught me what not to be very clearly, very
That's
quickly and clearly. And I would see these people and I'd go, I don't want to lead a team like that, or I can do this differently, or how. So I was working for an organisation called ANZIF, which was an insurance and finance body.
Yeah, I remember them.
Really great organisation, but the events were boring as batshit. And I wanted something more creative. I'm big picture. I could see I could do more. And then my husband, God love him, said to me, if you don't start your business he gave me a deadline.
Good on him.
This was early in the piece. He said by 1st of July. So give yourself 30th of June, like good at accounting, So, and he said, that gives us time, this is the key, gives us time to prepare, because as husband and wife, we had just sort of got married, what you want to do, so we can plan. And we had this joke that he could pay the mortgage, but my mum could still feed me.
Yes.
Right?
Fantastic.
So I needed to plan. And it's funny, I put it out in the universe. No one really knew what I wanted to do. And I was doing events around Australia. Coming up back from Adelaide, we had done a couple of events. I was speaking to my then manager on the plane about the event, and in the conversation I didn't realise, I kept on saying, oh my God, that event was perfect. It was so good. It was perfect. Did you see that? That just was perfect. And I think I got a comment, like an email to say it was a perfect event. You thought of everything. So I remember going, and my manager then turned around and goes, if you were to start a business, Liliana, you might want to consider calling it Perfect. And he kind of blinked, and I went, I think he knows what I want to do, right? So I ran home. I go, husband, I think I finally know what I want my business name. We came up with Perfect. Soon after that, we discovered people were calling it Perfect Events.
Yes.
And I thought, that makes sense because everyone's perfect, right? So, and then Perfect Events was born, but I was really smart, and this is the biggest thing I say to a lot of students at the moment and future leaders, planning and having that time, I was able to kind of put the feelers out and see what I could start with. I didn't want to just start a business and say, okay, finished, see ya, bye. I wanted to feel that I was still being able to make a difference and contributing as husband and wife. So I finished, I think it was the 27th of June or 28th of Friday, started the week after, the weekend, like the 2nd of July, and I had 3 contracts.
Yeah, well.
And they were kind of shitty jobs, but they were good jobs. One was, organising a breakfast. One was managing RSVP, so I worked for someone. But that's okay. I wanted to learn what they were doing before I started an event. And, there were some months I had no money, and husband and Nonna Mina paid, not paid, cooked and helped us. But, and there's still some challenging months, as we know.
100%. So Perfect Events, off it goes. It's happening. I've been lucky to work with you on several of your amazing events that you've put together. Perfect events, actually, not amazing events. And, what comes out of you and your team, and you instill this in the team, is that it's just, you're so passionate and you own it. You really own it and you care. And I think that's the difference. That's the difference with you as a human being. And then, of course, the question I had for you was then, where do you get your energy? What motivates you? Where does your energy come from? How do you motivate Lily? How does Lily then motivate the team to deliver that perfect event?
Yeah. Look, Harry, I think, let's be honest, right? And I know you don't want to speak about COVID, but...
No. It's here. I've got it as a conversation because it's real.
I think where I want to go with this, there's that question of being a leader, having the passion, which is in our values. My statement is passion plus precision equals perfect.
Yes.
So you need to be passionate, you've got to love what you do. In events, you need to be precise. It's a planning. The event day is the easiest, like we know, and there's a few tricky things on the event day, and that makes it a perfect event. But being a leader, and we love our Robin Sharma, everyone is a leader in the job that they do. So I'm a leader as an events assistant, an events intern, events manager, PR, whatever it is.
Yes.
We are all leaders, but I need to lead from the front, and
100%.
I need to be. So I'm still out there. Like we did this event at Crown, I'll never forget this, and I had this stupid idea about, it was a great event at the time, but kids undercover, being a hero. Who do you want to see as a hero? Come dressed up as your hero. I hired mannequins, I put them on every freaking table, we dressed them on different heroes, different kids' heroes. We were there until like 4 o'clock in the morning, unpacking arms, doing things. At the end of the day, my team's like, you're crazy. But I raised the money. The message was clear. So if I'm not doing it, how can I expect my team to do it?
Example. Yeah.
And then I think on the flip side of that, you have to lead by example. But sometimes it's tiring, man.
Of course.
It's exhausting because...
So how do you get your energy? Where does your energy come from to...
Yeah.
Because this is, I suppose, a two-pronged question.
That's
right.
right.
Because you're a mum, so you've got to go and run the event, bump in, bump out, run the event, be the event, pre-event, post-event,
Be smart.
deal with all that. And then, you know, you're home asleep because you're having a little nap and the kids are going, Mum, I want this. Husband's going, oh, I've got to do work, I've got to get on the phone, I've got to get on a plane, I've got to go here, I've got to go there. So where does the energy come from? How does Lily build this energy to deliver and then go and do it all again, right? So energy / motivation, because you need to be, you know, bit of a kick up the bum and get motivated to get into gear and, you know. So how does that work? Where do you draw that from?
I think the passion is because I love my job.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not even a job, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's like what you do,
Yeah.
and that's why we love each other,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's not a job for me, and if it becomes a job, then why am I doing it, or why am I working with that client? That's and as I get older and wiser, I can say that because I love what I do. I love my team. I love what we do. I love my team. I've learnt a lot of lessons.
They love you. Yeah.
So my passion comes because I love it, and I have had tears after I've successfully done an event. Like last year, you came. We worked on Legacy last year, right?
Yes.
They needed some support in growing their fundraising. It was a very short period. What we understood they had in place wasn't what was in place.
Yes.
And they gave me free rein in a way to work with them in such a way that on Legacy Day we needed to reach a financial goal. And I broke it down to matrix style. This is what the city is, this is where we need the defence force, this is how we do this is the kids, this is what... Anyway, Jeff was overseas. I had, this is the juggle, the real juggle. I think I had worked from 5 in the morning. I needed to be home by, I think, 10 o'clock that night. So long days, working and walking and doing all these things. But I wouldn't leave. I was the money counter. I knew every bit that was coming in. I knew what was going out. I knew what my team was doing. I knew what Defence Force was. But I ended up right on the board, got the tally. Once we reached that total, I circled it, had a tear in my eye. I couldn't even speak to them. I'm like, I've got to go. I've got to pick up a child, but I've got to go. But to me, even though it's exhausting, we do it.
Rewarding. Yeah.
And I don't think there's a break. I don't think there's a downtime. I think there's just this life and
Just
there's a balance.
isn't it? Yeah.
And there's, you know, we talk about integration and being a freaking mother. I love it. I love my kids. I love my family. But there's no balance. And I don't pretend that there is. There's an integration. You work around it. You get amazing people to support you.
Yes.
You look at how you do it. I've got a beautiful husband, and now I say this all the time. Make sure you have a support system.
Yes.
We
That's,
can't
I mean,
freaking
there's
do
the
anything.
there's the answer.
Yeah.
The support. I mean, hold on. We're getting the signal. We've got a question.
Oh.
Here we go.
Yep. Sorry,
Wow.
guys.
Hair and makeup here.
Hair and
This is
makeup,
raw and real.
sorry,
There's no
sorry.
mucking around here.
Sorry,
This is the real deal. So how have you had to change your business with COVID?
Yeah.
How would you get some participants? What does it say? How would you get the same participation? Sorry.
Yeah, cool. That's a good question,
more
actually.
educational
That's
question.
a really good...
Well, I want to do this. I'm going to give you this question, but I want to say this here, right? That you do balance things brilliantly, and because I had another question come up here, which we'll go into this in a minute. Corona,
Yeah.
because Corona, up, down, and disaster, and all that.
Corona
This is a
coaster.
conversation, right? But you've answered a question here for someone that's asked me, and and from I've got about 1 million of them coming up my Facebook thing, but
He won't show me his notes, by the way.
So you elegantly balance home, work, moving forward, Liliana time, kids time, go and see your sisters, your nieces, your nephews, all this sort of stuff, right? And it's certainly not easy, right? I want to share this with you because I think it's funny, right?
Yeah.
I did a video and I called it "Who's Head of Household?"
Yeah.
Head of household, right?
Yeah.
And I talked about people making titles.
Yeah.
And today when I left home, my wife said, "Tell Lily this. Tell her." So Tracy, I'm telling her, right? So stop
Hi,
complaining.
Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. But it was, this is me now. And I don't know whether it's just an old style thing. I love when my wife cooks for us.
Yeah.
So as an example, she cooked last night, we had a steak, and then all of a sudden the next thing came, the next course. And it was only my son and I eating, right? So then she brings out the I think it was pork or something. She goes, "Hey, I got this thing as well," and we're munching away.
Love.
And then all of a sudden these meatballs appear. She goes, two each, calm down, there's 2 each. We ate them, we looked at it, and then she brought the pan with these greens, and we're munching away, we're having a conversation, Evander and I talking tactics and whatever. But at the end of this whole thing, the funniest thing about it, she goes, "Now I've got dessert," which was chocolate crackles. I haven't had a chocolate crackle since 1940, right? So I'm like, but the moral to my story is, as busy as this lady is and doing whatever she does, because she plucks out the babies and then runs to other hospitals and helps and does whatever she does, to have a home-cooked meal from your mother, your wife, whatever, I think it's very special. And do you still see that as being special?
Oh, absolutely.
Because have we lost that? Is it easy to Uber? Is it easy? This is a question that came up. Somebody asked me, can you ask this question? Because I think this person's struggling at home with his partner, because she's a very professional lady, but he's saying, I love nothing more than, because apparently she's a brilliant cook, right? Yeah. When you cook for us, it warms my heart. So do you feel that? Do you think that's still the way, or have we lost that?
Look, and I think my tradition, being Italian family, and like yourself, as you say, breaking bread, is around a tavola. You eat, it's the culture is food.
Yes.
And I've just brought that into everything I do, even in my events, right? If you are not fed, like even this new iteration of my business cravings, when we started it, there was no bread in the boxes. The first thing I said to my team, I'm a wog. The first thing my dad said at my wedding is there has to be bread all night. It doesn't matter if you want to take it off. So the food is really important. We still have family meals every night. I do the majority of the cooking, but Jeff's a great chef. But for us, that's our downtime with the girls.
Right, that's brilliant.
And we have this thing, and the girls are probably laughing as they watch this. We go around, it's usually the youngest one that will start. How was your day, Mum, Dad? How many meetings did you have? What did you do today? Yes. And they don't understand the enormity, but that's how they get involved. And then,
it's fantastic.
But we need to do it. And I think the other thing that you might want to say to your friend, everyone shows their love differently. So the acts of service, of love, for him is that he loves that. He loves a family meal, but maybe she shows him and the family love in a different way. Yes. So there's got to be a bit of a balance.
I think the question, I'm getting his understanding, is that have we lost that? Are we losing it? Have we lost it? Have we lost that?
Look, I can only talk on my experience because it's really important to me, my family.
So it's important to you?
Yeah, it's really important to me. Yeah. And even to Jeff, my husband, because if it wasn't, we're so busy in life, activities, Uber Eats is, my kids are probably having chicken and chips. That's their favourite meal tonight because I wasn't home to cook. But I don't care. It's part of us. And sitting down and having that time is important, and Uber Eats is very easy to do.
Well, it's a good. You've answered it brilliantly. I'm getting the look. I'm going to answer the question. I've got the look. You know the look. Absolutely. So, how have you had to change your business with COVID, and how would you get the same participation levels?
Okay, so let's answer the first one.
So, Corona. I mean, that's a big question. Yeah. Because I was in the car with you, Lily. I know you're going to start and you're going to go bananas here, but I want to say this. I was in the car with you driving back from Crown. We had an interesting meeting there.
We did.
We had a nice meal. We can't complain. But on the way...
And mind you, let's talk about that meal. I was the only female of seven males.
And I came to back you up.
That's right.
Back
How's
up.
that? He was my backup.
Yeah, I came for backup. We had the mouth guard in, we were ready. Don't worry about that.
Such a mouth guard.
But I'll never forget, you received, for my memory, 3 phone calls postponing and cancelling events on that day. And it was like, we were here, and it was like, you know, and it was, I can see the world crumbling in front of you because of all these cancellations and things that were just, that was real, that was happening, you know. So, Corona, I mean, talk to us. I mean, what's happened? What's the struggle? Well, you're at war. The event industry has died. Absolutely died.
When Friday the 13th hit and...
was it really the 13th?
Yeah, Friday 13th.
Okay.
I'll never forget that. And the government decided to cancel Grand Prix.
Grand Prix, yes. I was returning,
It was the Melbourne Food, Wine and Festival. It was the... there was the Fashion Festival as well. It was Mad March, right? Mad March,
correct,
like
yes.
everyone knows it's Mad March. That day when they cancelled Grand Prix, everyone knew that's it. The industry is gone for quite a while. And I think all of us are feeling this second time round we're a bit more deflated than the first time, because the first time we didn't know what to expect. We're all in it together, all of Australia. We're supporting each other. The $40 billion industry of events became something that people go, oh, and we're the biggest people, and you know me, connection. Live events gives you connections, make you feel real, creating experiences. All of a sudden you couldn't connect with people, and what do? So we went into, I had 60 to 80 events planned this year. It was planned to be my biggest year, like in terms of events. Yeah, 2020, right? And we had some massive events and on a super high. I had like 16, 17 staff at the time. You were helping me with one of the big projects. And that day, it just went downhill. So I learned quickly that I needed to adjust. But I also had to flip the conversation and say, shit, what about my team?
Yes.
And how do I feed my family?
Yes.
So the events industry at the moment, especially in Victoria, I was having a conversation today with a colleague of mine who I totally respect, Peter Jones, amazing guy.
Nice guy.
And we were saying that Victoria, out of all the states, are really struggling, and we don't foresee any live events for the rest of the year. No. And, you know, even Melbourne Cup, they might do the race, but there's no corporate hospitality, you know, grand final here in Victoria. I don't know, Melburnians, honestly. So I was on a high in the sense that I was having a massive year. Then I was like here, and then here, and then here, and then one night, and Jeff's watching this, he will attest, I didn't realise how much I was holding in, and I was everything to everyone. And I was doing this and went to see what clients are we going to still work with and what have I got. And I was lucky that we kept 4 or 5 clients. The contractors I had to let go, all of us, all these things. JobKeeper, thank you JobKeeper, I love you. But I quickly realised that I was giving so much to everyone that I forgot about myself. And then totally human, as I realised, I ended up having a massive panic attack. I completely collapsed. I was like, what the, my husband, he grabbed me, and I didn't even realise I was doing this. Grabbed me. My 2 kids, I was so cute. He grabbed me. He just brought me to my room, and he said, you need to lie down. And I was in such a state that I was like, what do you mean? And I was crying. I was like, you know, what? He said, you need to lie down. My daughter got my phone. She put meditation music on. This is the little one, Sapphire.
She's too cool.
And she said, you need to relax. But I needed that. I needed that point to get to the bottom before I could start to see, fuck, there's life. You've got this, Lily. Let's see, what is it? What is it that you can do? What can't you? I haven't done 13 years to just collapse. I'm here for the long term, not the short term. So talking to coaches and like you, mentors, I've realised that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's given me permission to work on me and my business. Because when you're so busy working on events, you don't have that time.
Busy being busy.
I'm everything to everyone else. I make their big pictures a reality.
Yes.
So events, it's not a great, it'll come back. It is coming back. It'll be completely different, and we call it the hangover effects. The hangover effects of COVID will always be there. But at the moment, for us, you know, I've become an event marketing company.
Yes.
We do event marketing. We've created Cravings,
Yeah.
which is about connecting people at home, partnered with Curtis Stone Events, get food delivered, we connect them when we do events, and it's amazing, so people keep connected.
If you had a lot of other events, people in the industry reach out to you,
Yeah.
and they're obviously struggling, because I've had a lot. I mean, I wouldn't begin to tell you, but people are, I mean, so so Victoria gets hit again,
Yeah.
we shut, you know, apparently we shut.
Yeah.
What if it happens again?
Yeah, and look.
Like, okay, we go back, everyone's clapping hands and we're happy and we consider it a restaurant and we do all the right things and we sit apart and we might have a lunch and learn, which we had the young guns. And
Yeah.
we were very blessed to have 20 young kids in there.
Today we would have had a lunch.
We would have had it today. You know, so what if that happens again?
Look, I think the beauty in all of this, and let's look at the silver lining, all the people we are talking to at the moment know that hybrid events is the way to go.
Yes.
So it's giving people the permission to say, look at what we're doing today. Like, this is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Would we have done this before COVID? Possibly not. Possibly a different
Different
format.
way, correct,
Yeah,
yes.
right?
Correct.
It would have been a live event and we sold tickets. Like, remember
Yeah,
years ago we
yeah.
did the one at Exhibition
we did.
Centre?
Fire Up, yep.
Fire Up, that's
Yeah,
what it was called.
yeah.
We may have done that format because this seemed foreign to everyone.
Correct.
Now we're Zooming like it's no Zoom before.
Absolutely.
Everyone's Zooming,
Yeah.
Zumbering, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right?
Yes.
So it's completely different. So it's given people the permission to say, how do I create new business? What opportunities can I look at? Doesn't mean you're going to get to what it was, right? But we'll always have the hybrid, the real event and now virtual, because it opens up a platform.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you just said that, because there's a question here and it says, looking back now, what would you have done differently if you had to start all over again? Because this is almost a reset.
It is.
If not,
We're
it is a
calling
reset.
it Reset 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would you have done different, or what will you do different?
All right. I'm going to quote Jeff. And Jeff, while you're watching
getting a lot
this,
of
you're going to
plugs
love
today.
this.
Jeffrey.
You never make the wrong decision at the time. You always make the right choice,
Yes.
because at that time you believe it to be correct.
That's
right?
a great answer. That's a great
So
answer.
if we went into something going, I'm making the wrong decision, why the hell are you doing it?
Yeah.
And you and I both know some of our great lessons in life
Oh yeah.
are lessons, and you have to go through that, especially as a business owner, to see why you were taught that lesson, to see what's the next opportunity and what's the next step. So for me, I wouldn't change anything because no one can see this. It was like a tsunami or 9/11, and we know about 9/11, how the terrorism attacks changed risk and safety at events. Who knew that now risk and safety, even now with COVID, at events, that's your number one priority. You know, like it's just another level.
So, I mean, you're at war. There's no secret. It's war, right? So we have the saying, you don't go to a gunfight with a knife. So let's say you can open the doors tomorrow. You know, let's say it's all gone away. Everybody says, yeah, good, take the thing off, the mask, and just do the sanitizer, whatever, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to go to war? What tools? What new methods? What new technology? What new ways? Because it's going to be an expensive way to run events. There won't be. You have to have the sanitizer, thermometers. Don't do this. Don't say that. And if there's an outbreak there again, the responsibility factor. So people are asking me all these questions to ask you. So will you be re-engineering the whole way it looks and feels and?
Yeah. PCMA, which is a leading industry body which works with business event strategists, did a great piece the other day from a company in the US that did a 3D model of what events would look like. And I ended up doing a bit of in my newsletter, review. And they showed you literally, based on what's going on in the world today, how an event would look like, walking through it, the space being spread out, the sanitisation station, the thermometer. So you need to go get a thermometer check, but it's kind of virtual. And if you can't, before you even check in, then if you don't pass, you go to the health officer. Then if you don't, so all these elements, you're right, are going to add big money. The
Massive
screens, as I was saying to Caroline before, no longer can you have buffets, and technically none of us should be doing buffets or a la carte or anything because no buffet. Sorry, or no smorgies. You know that, or you can eat. Do you remember smorgies?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So it's all in boxes or in terms of dietary. But the biggest thing here, the risk. There's a number of factors with risk. It lies with us as event production, but because it's a pandemic, there's no insurance that will cover it.
Oh wow, that's
so
major.
no insurance will cover it.
So
So even if you do a T's and C's, and it's like when we do fun runs and walks, you do a T's and C's and you tick it off and you say you might trip over that cord. Or we had a guy in Geelong, a woman, sorry, who fell and broke her hip. Even though she signed a T's and C's, we still had to make sure that woman was taken care of. But let's say 2 weeks later, like the rally, the Black Lives Rally, they got COVID. No one can be charged with that. It's not. So the risk around something like that, we know it's a pandemic, therefore no one's going to insure it. But how do you cover yourself? So you always have to be seen to be doing the right thing. So that's where you put in, if you need a mask, sanitisation stations, how many people in and out. They're the things you need to work with. But the biggest thing, and I don't know if everyone knows this, as the event producer or the creative producer, whatever, me and my team would produce the event for you, but we're not the safety officers. You need to get a safety team in.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Yes, no, they don't.
No,
you're right.
They think you can be everything, and when you've got minimal costs, and at the moment that's the tough thing, how can we be everything to everyone? So that question about increasing participation, you need to look at what are you marketing, what do you want, who's your audience, and how's your reach going to grow? And is it a virtual platform like today, plus a live event, or lots of small events? Is it a turnaround event where you have a bigger venue but you can turn it around quickly, clean it, because that's the other thing, you need cleaning. So there's lots of things to consider, and you need to work with experts that are going to show you that.
So the reality is going to be that the end user will have to pay for that, right?
Correct.
So there would have to be, not a hidden cost, but a cost in there to, subside all these new ways of doing business, right?
Yeah.
Now, I had a question that came up, and it was, what if events don't recover like this? What if events just don't come? How long? And it's not about you. I mean, everything's about you today, but how long can you last? How long can you go for? When do you say, well, that's it? What am I going to do?
So can I ask you something about that question?
Yes.
Are you talking about me personally or the industry?
I think it's an industry question. Because these big players, medium, small, I know for a fact small businesses are dying by, I can't tell you. And JobKeeper, and you blessed JobKeeper earlier.
Oh, thank you.
And imagine it just stops because for whatever reason, right? And events don't come back. What happens?
So it's a really good question, because this is what I'm saying, and this is what we can talk about, because we all wish we had that crystal ball.
Of course, yes.
The big companies are suffering the most, you're right? But the smaller companies are nimble and able to be agile. And what I said to you before, I'm here for the long run, not the short run. So I need to make sure, what is it that I can do now to reinvent myself and keep present? So when people do want events, or they want to look at a celebration, or when the borders open to go to another country just for a holiday, or international guests can come in, we can help you facilitate that. But people aren't thinking about that at the moment.
No.
So it's how do you keep nimble and present? And I don't think people realise that, because we're so driven with our ego. That's a big conversation to say you might need to reduce your staff, or you might not need to have all of this, you just need that. And that's tough. It's really tough.
It is tough, yes.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. Hold on.
This is a great question.
This is a great question.
Well, off what you just said.
Does she need the mouth guarding? No.
Just ties in really well with what you just said.
Oh yeah, that's right. Can you give an example of what a hybrid event would be?
Yeah, sure.
It's a great question.
A hybrid event is really based on what's going on at the moment. It's a live event and a virtual event. So similar to what's going on tonight, you're seeing us stream live, and it can be on multiple platforms. It can be on Zoom, it can be on Instagram, on socials, YouTube, whatever you want. There's so many different platforms. And then in the same time, you're having a live event. I'm finding at the moment with a lot of our clients, when we've been pivoting them to, virtual events, they have all said to me that this is the way forward. They will do the live event, but now still do the virtual because, in Melbourne, we've been working on MIF, Melbourne International Film Festival, for the last 10 years. Or this year would have been the 10th year. Amazing event. I love it. It's part of my DNA. They've gone virtual this year, but what it's allowed them to do is open up a global audience.
Oh, smart. Yeah.
So instead of just being a MIF star and you see people who take 3 weeks off and see 70 or 80 movies and they get the program and they go from one cinema to another, they can now also do that if they want the live event and the experience of people when we're allowed to do that. But at the moment, they can get a virtual pass and watch it at home like Netflix, but you get to see the movie.
Yeah.
So it gives you database, it gives you sponsorship, it still increases your participation. But it's a different way of thinking, and you're still making money, and you're building a database. So really, the flip of that is, would you have a live event?
That's a very good way to put it. I mean, look. So I've been around you, and we've done, in fact, one event which I'd love to talk about because I experienced it with you, and that is you hosting Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the big lunch that we did at Atlantic. What a shame that venue's gone. Had but anyway. What was very notable from you, again...
The crazy day.
Yeah, but you know what? The fact that, and I'll never forget this, somebody mentioned this to me, and I've always preached it, and I'll give credit where it's due, and it was Jeff Dixon, who was then the CEO of Qantas. And then, of course, there was Jeff Askew, who was the security man, and they said, speed and flexibility. It's how quick you are and how flexible you are. And you were all that with the Arnold event. That lunch, you were so... quick, flexible to get things done, whether he wanted a short black coffee, this thing there, that thing there, whatever. Nothing was an issue. Nothing's a problem, So, and I think that's in your DNA. That is such a recipe for success. So I'm talking about that because it was an experience for me. What advice would you give a young event manager that's now wanting to be the perfect event manager? What advice would you give that young gun now?
It's a great question because one of the things that I'm doing, and you
are
this,
correct.
I'm doing this and I've spoken to over 1,000 students already, is I'm giving back to the community. And we are suffering as an events industry, but can you imagine if you're at university and you're studying film, events, tourism, you'd be going, oh my God, have I chosen the right industry? Is this what I want to do? Do I want to work? Half of these companies are closing down. There's no... So I've offered my service to speak to a lot of students around Australia. I just did one on Monday to Townsville. I've got another one coming up for 140 students next week. But most of the questions are on that.
Yes.
What advice can you give me now in the industry, and what would you recommend I do? And I say what I did: network, connect, and keep present. Because it doesn't matter if it's COVID or no COVID, you still need a Harry in your life who can connect you with this person who has seen you work and think you're brilliant. Or on social media, what are you doing? On LinkedIn, how are you talking? Come to my participation events, grow, be part of it. So to me, and the other question to that is, how would you hire me? I look at a lot from students. What are you looking for when you're hiring staff? And I say, it's your agility, but also your personality, because I can teach you the job.
Of course.
I can teach you the way to do things. I can show you the Lily way, or we call it the perfect way, the approach, because we've got so many templates. But if you're not agile, if you're not able to work with my team, if you can't communicate or pick up a phone, you can't hide behind, then how are you going to succeed? So COVID is giving us that opportunity. And you know what I say to them? COVID is giving you the opportunity to upskill. You will be better off than me.
It's fantastic. Good.
Because you will see what's missing. You know how we learnt a typewriter, it then went to a big clunky keyboard, then it went to a floppy disk, and then it went to a USB. We went through the process. These guys, no, man, they know better than us. They're building apps and technology.
Next level.
So it's integrated, and they will show us. So use this time to improve.
To grow, improve. Yeah, that's a great. I'm getting the.
Oh,
unbelievable.
oh no.
Chicks rule. I said chicks rule.
Chicks rule.
Chicks rule. which I'm going to ask
I'm
you
glad
this
I
question.
popped his cherry as the first
I'm
chick.
telling
What can I
ya.
say? Sorry, I touched the microphone.
You did? Told you she's naughty. Of all of the events you have managed, what is the one that you are most proud of and why? So,
I hate this question.
which is the, so it's in street talk, what's the best event and why?
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were going to say what's the shittest.
Nah,
the
well, we all
worst.
know, but that's easy to answer.
Yeah, yeah, we do. Oh my God, that's such a tough question.
You know, you just said that, sorry. You know, I was very tempted.
Yeah, I thought you would actually.
I was very tempted to talk about that, but I think in the spirit of where we're going,
Yeah, look.
and I'm going to talk to you about males and females and why and women being in that sense. Sorry to interrupt you, but the question again was your best event. Your best event, because you started, you said a poo event. I'm telling you that the best event and why.
Okay. I love all my events, and you know that. There's a handful that I'd go
Come on.
about.
Best event and why.
All right. The best event was the first
It's
event.
memorable for you.
Yeah.
That's-
All right.
yes.
Don't laugh when I say this.
No, it's-
The best event that was my first event that I did by myself,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the imposter syndrome of going, oh my God, can I do this? Is this really me? Was one for Melbourne City Mission, and it was their 150th anniversary.
Okay, well.
And it was like a whole group of events that I had to do together, and it gave me permission to be creative. You know, what is it that I want to do? And
So
one
Melbourne Mission.
Melbourne City Mission.
It's the Melbourne City Mission.
Yeah, and it was their
Huge.
150th anniversary, and it was Melbourne City Mission was founded on the gold rush here in Melbourne, and one of the sponsors was a gold mine, a mining company, and they said, we can't give you cash. You're going to laugh at this. I can't give you cash, but I'll give you gold. And I was like, give me gold. All right, makes sense, but what am I going to do, and how am I going to make this into events and raise money and all these things? So I was able to do a whole program of events, but the gala dinner that we ran there was amazing for a number of reasons, because I converted the gold into a jewellery collection.
Oh, wow.
And I got all Olympians and all jewellers to donate their time completely for free, and they never get that. So I got gold given to me, I raised all this money. But the best thing was we had a young boy who was in the outreach program.
Right.
Homeless kid trying to get his way and find his way. And I asked if he would be comfortable to speak or present, you know, at this. And you have to be mindful of the situation. People sitting there in black tie, raising money can be quite overwhelming, as we know. And he was a beautiful, beautiful boy. And he said, yeah, he would do it. I had spoken to him a couple of times. You know. Then I asked him, do you have something to wear? Because he lives on the streets. And he goes, no. I said, that's okay, I'll get you something.
Yeah.
I was able to get him a suit, new shoes, got him everything. I know this sounds silly. He had a shower, he did his hair really nicely because he was prouder than me. Like, he was there. So I had this moment of like, I did that. But the best moment, Harry, was he got off stage, he spoke, everyone just was listening to him. I could see people going, oh, what do I do? How do I donate money? And I still get teary about it. He goes to me, do you mind if I leave? And I went, oh, why do you want to leave? Like, I went, oh, it's too much. He goes, I just want to walk around all night in this suit and show people that I can wear a suit.
Oh.
And I went, oh, all right. And I said, can you just return it in the morning? I need to give it back. But do it. Walk all night. And here's some money to buy some food. Like, I was that.
That is.
But I realised then it's not about me and what I do. Does that make sense? It was, and there's other events I love, but I always
that's major.
talk about
Thank you for
him.
sharing. That's major.
Yeah.
Look at me, 400,000 questions. What are you? Who is this?
They're all probably people I paid to think
Oh, something's going on. If there was one event that you could do that you haven't done yet, what would it be? That's a ripper question.
Oh, that's
I
not
like
fair.
that one. Who said that question?
Alex.
Good on you, Alex. Good on you, Alex. That's a great question.
Alex.
So, what if there's an event you haven't done it yet?
right.
What event is it?
All right, I won't lie, and everyone knows this. My secret hero and Shigo and Altar Crush is Oprah. I would love to do an event with Oprah and Michelle Obama in building something quite significant for the community.
That's magnificent.
And doing something, because I love working. I always say this to people, and people get overwhelmed with it, and you know this with working with Arnold. the power of a celebrity to make a difference is what you need.
Yeah.
There can be the highs and the lows and
That's
the
brilliant.
challenges.
That's brilliant.
But the power of a celebrity to make a difference in people's lives and giving back is what I thrive on,
Yes.
and that's what I want.
And you do that brilliantly. I had it here as a question, giving back. I'm not even going to ask because there's other questions. That's all gone downhill here. But that's brilliant. And your Facebook profile picture is you and Oprah.
Yeah, because can I tell you how I met her? So
Yeah.
people...
Well, where we did the protection work back then,
Yeah,
like previous
no,
life.
that's
So
right.
the boys did that. But anyway,
Oh, but you didn't get me in, just in case anyone
That's it.
wanted
No,
to
no,
know.
no, no,
You was
backdoor
above board,
tricks,
everything
yep,
was
no.
good. But I'll try and keep it short, but I've always wanted to meet Oprah and I loved her. And so when she came out the first time when she said, I'll give you a car. No, I'm giving you a trip to Australia. I was working with Guy Grossi at the time and I said, I want to come, I want to meet her and everything. And at the time, a competitor was doing her events and didn't want me in the room. And gorgeous Guy Grossi, I love you, Guy, said to me, you can come with me and be the assistant because I cooked for them, but you can only come and hold my cookbooks. And I go, hold your cookbooks? He goes, yeah, you stand there, you hold my cookbooks because it's for every guest. And if when Oprah comes, you can give her the cookbook. I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing it. I'm there. I'll be the cookbook girl, right?
the cookbook girl. Love
And
it.
seriously, I went. It was in the arcade
Yeah.
in Collins Street,
That's it.
and I had tickets to Bon Jovi that night.
Yeah, well,
and anyway, and I was like, Bon Jovi or Oprah, and I was like, no, I'm going to Oprah. Anyway, it got to a certain time that night, and they said she's not coming, and I went, oh, that's a shame. And the person who was organising the event wouldn't let me sit down, even though there was a spare chair.
Wow.
So I stood there all night, literally, with the cookbooks. And then when she didn't come, I'm like, here, Guy, you can have your cookbooks back. I'm going, right?
Bon Jovi.
Yeah, Bon Jovi, go to Bon Jovi. But then I finally got to meet her when she came the second round, and it was because I helped the organisers do some stuff. And when she was doing her pre-show talk, she really was the first person to talk about the VVIP experiences, because that's where you make your most money these days. And she wanted to meet some of the people, and she said, oh, look, I've got 100 people. How do we connect? They all asked questions. It was all, as we do, because I do that. You had the questions, you knew what they were asking. But she said, I want to throw to the crowd to get some extra questions. And you can imagine her managers going, what are you doing? No, we don't want that.
Yeah.
You're changing things. And she goes, no, I asked a couple of questions. And she goes, last question. And I was sitting in the last row, and I just put my hand up like this. And she said, you in the red jacket over there, you. And I was like, I don't have a question, right? So you had to stand up. I said, hi, I'm Lily Sanelli. I run a company called Perfect Events. Like it was my event. On behalf of everyone here, thank you so much for coming. We love you. You make such a difference to people's lives. You don't know this, but you do. You're such a beacon of light. I just want to say thank you, and you need to stop sometimes and realise that you do make that difference, and I don't think you really do. There was no question in that. So I sit down, and she goes, you know, everyone says this to me. And I'm like, oh my God, Oprah's talking to me. And it's like Caroline, me and her, you know. And I'm like, yeah. And she said, everyone says this to me, and I've never understood that. And Maya Angelou, which is her mentor and friend at the time before she passed away, said to me, being Oprah, you know, you have a legacy, Oprah, and you need to understand that. And your legacy is bigger than what you think. So she's looking at me, Oprah, in my eyes like you're looking at me. So if you could hear my brain's like, oh my God, Oprah's looking at me. She's talking to me. She can see me freaking out. Oh my God, like this, right? And I'm trying to be, calm down, Lily, calm down. So she says, you know, what you just said is really true, but I'm going to ask you a question because I didn't realise how much of a difference I make in people's lives. I want to know the difference I made in your life.
Wow.
I went, what? And she goes, I want to know the difference I made in your life. So I had to stand up again, and you had all these people looking at you, and I go, you know what? I said, to be honest, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a business owner, I'm a mentor, I've raised like $20 million, rolled off all these things. I said, none of that was taught to me at school. None of that. None of it was from my family. All of that has come from people like you who have inspired me to be and do what I do. And I would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for people like you that showed me I could do it.
Oh, that's
so thank you. And then I sat down and I literally was shaking, you know, like I was like, oh my God. And then she had expressed a story about something earlier about remembering people on tour, and then she said, "You will be the one that I remember. You are the one that I will remember from this trip."
That's fantastic.
So by the time I got onto stage and met her, she gave me
Yes.
this massive hug, and she said, "I can't wait to, you know."
Yeah.
So I still feel one day.
Oprah?
Yeah. It's just the difference.
Yeah,
You know.
that's incredible. Now look, I know it's 8
Sorry.
o'clock.
3.
What do we got? 3 minutes.
Oh,
Can we
thank
go
you.
over or not? We get in trouble. We'll cut out or something.
Sorry, I talked too much.
No, I think what this leads into, I'm going to say this, right? If we've got 3 minutes, let me say this
Yeah,
out.
go.
It's not about, it's about you, but you are such an inspiration to women in general, okay? You've come to all my events, you've been an incredible supporter, but you are such an advocate for women in business and women in general.
Absolutely.
So what I think we're going to do, not I think, I'm going to rephrase that statement, what we will be doing, and we're going to do the panel and have women on here, I'm going to do this. So I think we're going to do this fantastic women, you know, I don't know what we're going to call it, but we had a name for this other thing we're going to do, but I think that you've got such a story to talk about women in business and women in general that we're going to have to come back
Sure.
and do this.
Happy
Is that a fair
to.
call?
And I won't wear green next time.
You can wear whatever you like. I mean, you're an incredible human being, Liliana. We are blessed. I think our community, again, I know their community would have loved everything you've got to say and have said, but there's so much more. And you did make a video saying 1 hour is not going to cut it,
Yeah, I did
and we
say
knew that, right? But we're respectful of people's time out there.
Of course.
We know that it's an hour, but we're going to put together an event specifically for women. But it's an incredible event. We've got an ex-policewoman,
Awesome.
we've got a midwife plucking out the babies and all the dramas. We've got a survivor, could be in the room. And, you know, the event, just you, and that's going to be an amazing opportunity to really share more. So thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having us and having me.
We
you know.
love everything that you've said and do, and the questions have been incredible. I've got questions coming out here, left, right, and centre. We'll get back to them, so I'll
Yeah,
send them
yeah.
to you so you can get back to the
Absolutely.
people. What else we got on? We've got a huge August coming up. So for Life Worldwide, our upcoming events, we've got a Live and Learn again next week. And from what I'm told, that's me. So I'm going to drive you insane about what we're doing, and I'm going to give you some vitamins and push and shove and get you to another level. We're going to have another event with Magical Learning, some beautiful people there, Graham and Danette, who are going to just do a webinar with you guys. You've met them.
Yeah, they're great.
We have another Raw and Real with Rob Haddad. Rob Haddad from The Practice is going to blow your mind. He's an incredible person. And then we're going to have a young gun / millennial thing that we're going to do as well to just keep it rolling. So all I can tell you is thank you for being part of our community. Thank you for loving us. We love you back. Be incredible human beings. And please, the message I'll leave you with you today, and Lily, you know this, reach out to people. People are struggling. People are doing it tough. Be the light. Be the shining armor. Be the people that save them. Be the incredible human. So thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. Good night. Lily, we love you.
Thank you. Love you
Thank you
too.
so much. Caroline behind the scenes. Nobody could hear you, but it's all good. Peter, Futsal, Dee's crew, thank you. Have a great night, and we look forward to the next one.
Thank you. Bye.